going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the evening live stream here of the Arizona Sports Fan. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Do me a huge favor, smack up the like button here on your way in. Yes, you have two live streams, two shows today on a Monday, right? Lucky you. I'm just kidding, right? This probably is not going to happen most of the time, but there was a topic to obviously discuss, and I didn't want to wait till tomorrow morning because this is pretty darn good news and exciting news for a lot of Arizona Cardinal fans because we kind of talked a little bit about this a little earlier this morning. We mentioned Will Hernandez. We mentioned where the Cardinals are going to be, potentially cutting some players within their depth chart. So this kind of coincides with the morning stream. Now, obviously, we got a little bit more deep into it with the more of the depth chart earlier, but guess what? Today we're going to be diving into the Arizona Cardinals hosting Will Hernandez. Former Arizona Cardinal slash fan favorite Will Hernandez. We're going to be diving into that, but they also are hosting a couple other players as well, which has not got a lot of recognition. We're going to be diving into a couple other players that they hosted as well. None of them wide receivers, but two offensive linemen as well as an edge rusher. And when I originally first saw the edge rusher here, I said it like behind my mind, why don't you just go after Micah? Like, why don't you just, like, if we're going to bring edge rushers in here, just go after Micah. Just go after Trey Hendrickson. Like, it's crazy to me. I get it. These guys are a lot cheaper than those guys are. It's one of those things. Like if we're trying to go after these edge players, just go after these beasts out there. But nevertheless, right? We do got some players to talk about here. So do me a huge favor, smack at the like button here on your way in, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe if this is your first time here. Absolutely appreciate you guys here up and foremost. And let's get started, shall we? Let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about the big news out there. And the Cardinals hosted some players today per the NFL transaction report. Now, it came out probably around 3 p.m., if not 3 p.m., about 2:30 p.m. today that the Arizona Cardinals ended up hosting. People are probably going to say Mijo things in the chat, but Will Hernandez, former Arizona Cardinal guard. Now, he's been with the Cardinals for several years, and he's actually a pretty solid guard. The problem with Will Hernandez is that he sustained a real bad knee injury last year. And he was playing pretty solid, right? For the several, what it was last year, right? Let me just double check here. Let's see here. The last one, because he had a lot of injuries with the Cardinals. He had like a pec injury. And then in 2024, in week 5, he ended up suffering a torn ACL. So like it's not one of those things where it's like I don't know if Will Hernandez will be an automatic starter, but if we're talking about depth, this would be a really good depth piece for us, like a fantastic depth piece for the Arizona Cardinals. And for the most part, I posted this news here on my Instagram as well as my X/Twitter page. And for the most part, everybody's saying the same thing. Bring them in, right? Bring them in. Like that's what you should be doing as, an Arizona Cardinal front office. Now, we did hear Monty Austinfort say that if he's healthy, we are definitely going to consider looking his way. And per the NFL transaction report, we met with him. We met with him today. So it's cool. It's awesome that we're still kind of looking every which direction and leaving no stones unturned, right? Quote unquote, leaving no stones unturned. But it's going to be one of those situations that, like, what is his value really at? Now, we got like $35 million in cap space right now per over the cap. Now, of course, it's going to fluctuate in different, third-party websites. Some might say 33, some might say 34, but I am seeing $35 million in open cap space for the Cardinals, so they can make an acquisition like this. Now, are the Cardinals the only team that's going to be in play for Will Hernandez? Well, we just got word probably a week or two that he's kind of ready to go, right? He ended up releasing a video in his Instagram, and the Cardinals met with him today, right? So right now there's no official report. Nothing's been said out there that Will Hernandez has signed a contract with the Cardinals, but if he is truly ready to go, I can definitely very well see the Cardinals going after him and signing him on a deal. Now, if we're looking for a depth player with him, then it's obviously going to be a lot cheaper than a starter, right? Because right now it seems like the starting offensive linemen, I think they're pretty solid. I really do. They get a lot of bad rep for, Kyler Murray getting pressure on him a lot last year, but they were easily a very solid offensive line last year, right? And that's going to be with Evan Brown, Fro Holtz, Paris Johnson Jr. Jonah Williams, he did when he came back. The first game he was solid, got hurt, came back, he was but that was kind of really the only spot that I was like, that's not a good spot here in the that right tackle position. But he's trying to bounce back. We still have him under contract, so I hope he can stay healthy, and I hope he can be a better right tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. We can definitely use it. And of course, you got Isaiah Adams, which is going into his year 2. So what does this really mean if the Cardinals do bring in for example, Hernandez? I mean, like I said, depth piece would be great. Like, I wouldn't mind that one bit. I feel like that would be very beneficial for the Cardinals to continue to stack good offensive line players that have done this in the NFL time and time again, right? You never know when an injury is going to happen. You never know. You never know when an injury is going to happen. So it's very beneficial for the Cardinals to do something like this. I think the Cardinals should. Now, last we heard is that we met with them. That's it. It's the last thing that we heard. Now, there's a couple other players that are not getting a lot of love or recognition, right, in terms of names out there that the Cardinals also met with as well. Now, this is going to be per Aaron Wilson, another source that I very, very, good, but I think he's pretty much following the transaction report as well. The Cardinals met with two other players today, two other players, and those two players are offensive line Max Pritchard. I mean, he's got some time in the NFL. I don't think it's going to be one of those things where you're probably going to recognize his name. But yeah, offensive line, and I think it's actually short for Maximilian. I think he's actually Italian, if I'm not mistaken. Max Pritchard. And then the other player, edge rusher Kenneth Odumiwangu. And I butchered that as well. But he's a former Seahawk. So the Cardinals ended up meeting with an edge rusher and two offensive linemen today. I will be showing you guys the actual name right here because I completely butchered it. But it seems like a guy that was with the Seattle Seahawks prior, right? So if you go ahead and take a look here, I ended up having it right there on this description. This is his name, Kenneth, right there. That's the guy right there that the Arizona Cardinals also met with as well. Him and Max Pritchard. So those are the other two guys that the Arizona Cardinals ended up meeting with. No official word that a contract has been signed. Are they looking for more camp bodies? Are they looking for guys to go through preseason? Potentially, right? Potentially. We can definitely very well see something like that. You also got to keep in mind that we still don't know if the starters will be starting in preseason this coming weekend. We don't know yet, right? We still don't know. So, of course, I would love our starters to start this weekend, right? Even if it's a drive or two, I feel like it would be very beneficial to go against a defense that's going to be a pretty solid defense in the Chiefs. Now, of course, you're not going to be starting their starters, for the full game, but it gives you more reps, a different look with different defenses. So I feel like there's a lot of benefits to having our, starters starting tonight. I'm sorry, this weekend, not tonight. What am I talking about? This weekend. So there's that. So Cardinals host multiple players, one of them including Will Hernandez, former fan favorite. And I do believe that the Cardinals should not allow him to leave unless he signs pen to paper. So right now, no official word has been released other than we worked them out per the transaction report. And I do think that's it's good. It's really good. It's good for the Arizona Cardinals to potentially bring him back. Chill Peasy in the chat. Absolutely celebrating 10 months of membership. Salute. Salute to you, Chill. Salute to you. He's celebrating 10 months of membership. That's amazing. Says, bring Mijo back. Love to see it. Love to see it. Let's go, Will Hernandez. I hope they sign him as a backup player. I agree. He'll be a lot cheaper if that is the consensus, which if they know, you're going to be a backup, that will be a lot more beneficial for the Cardinals to bring him in as that backup role. And he would be a solid backup for the Arizona Cardinals. He was a starter before he got hurt, right? Before he got hurt in 2024 in week 5 with a torn ACL. Massive, right? Massive. So now we're going into 2025 with, him potentially be a fringe guy. We'll have to kind of wait and see. Now, I don't know if you guys know or if you guys are going to training camp these next couple days. There's only 2 training camps left. There's a training camp on Tuesday, and there's a training camp on Wednesday. That's the last training camp for the open public for the Arizona Cardinals in 2025 because it's going to be all guns a-blazing, all preseason from then on out. But the NFL national media will actually be attending this Wednesday's practice, our last practice in State Farm Stadium, the national media will be there. So for what it's worth, it'd be kind of cool to see some national recognition, right? Some other interviews that most likely they're going to have the ability to interview some of these players that are showing out. Probably Will Johnson, right? Maybe Kyler Murray, maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. will get up on the mic. So that would be pretty exciting to see. So if you guys do go to Wednesday's practice of this week, I did hear that the national media is going to be there, the NFL Network, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be very, very fun to see exactly what happens there. So for what it's worth, cool things. I'm excited about it. Let's see exactly what the Cardinals decide to do. Will they be bringing in Will Hernandez back as a potential depth player for us, right? Now, if you guys did not know, there has been a release of the unofficial, I want to be very clear, unofficial depth chart for the Arizona Cardinals going into preseason. Now, what does this mean, right? What does this mean? The media and I think it's like the media department within the Arizona Cardinals, they put out the unofficial depth chart with preseason whenever it comes down to that, but they ended up releasing the first one today about 5 hours ago. So I wanted to go ahead and dissect it together to kind of see if what they think kind of matches what I think, right? No, of course, you're not going to see 53 on here. You're going to see a good amount of players, like an abundance amount of players. They're just putting out the full-blown roster out there, but they are putting people in first position, second position, third position, fourth position. So it does break it down like that. So we're going to first start off with the offensive side of the ball. And I'm just kind of curious to figure out if their thought process is kind of the same thing as mine. Like that's really what I'm kind of going in for. So first unofficial depth chart by the media department of the Arizona Cardinals that are there every single day. Let's dive into it, shall we? All right, let's go ahead and make this a little smaller. There you go. Perfect. Okay, here we go. So wide receivers, right? Now, the wide receivers that are showing right here, we're going to pay attention to that first column, right? Like I said, you're going to see a second column and a third column there. But this is the what it seems to potentially maybe most likely be heading into the 53. But you never know. There's going to be some mixes here and there. So Marvin Harrison Jr. being number one, obvious. That's not a shock. You got Zay Jones and then Michael Wilson. So they have Zay Jones beating out Greg Dortch. So that's interesting. That's very, very interesting. I did think that Greg Dortch would have some sort of leg up over Zay Jones, but this is interesting, right? Now, Xavier Weaver is behind Zay Jones. Can we really be rolling with 5 wide receivers? Yeah, I mean, potentially, right? Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, Zay Jones, Greg Dortch, and Xavier Weaver. They do like Xavier Weaver, and he did make the 53-man roster like this last year. So it's not unheard of to think that a UDFA is going to make the roster because he did, right? So if he can continue to build a really good training camp and a really good preseason, he can definitely make the cut. Now, of course, other people behind him, Tajon Palmer's look pretty solid. Andre Bocelli always rides the practice squad, but I feel like he's been on this roster like for the Cardinals for a very long time. Not the 53, but the practice squad. And then Semi Fehoko here and there has made some sort of splashes here and there. So nothing really shocking there, but Zay Jones over Greg Dortch is a little bit of a shock. You got Paris Johnson Jr. at left tackle, Evan Brown at the left guard, center Froholt, guard at the right side, Isaiah Adams, and then right tackle Jonah Williams. You do got some backups right there to note. Obviously, behind Paris Johnson, Kelvin Beachum, Christian Jones, which was a rookie a couple years back, or it might have been last year. He's now going into his, I believe, year 2 now. Or was he 2023? What year was he? When was... Yeah, year 2. So he was a rookie last year when we had like 10 plus picks. The Arizona Cardinals went absolutely crazy with the amount of picks that we ended up having in the second year of Monty. And he was, I believe, a 5th round, if I'm not mistaken. So they have him as a number 2. We talked a little bit about John Gaines earlier this morning in the morning show. I don't know if he's going to make it. He might, right? But Hayden Connor does have the ability to play both guard and center. So I'm kind of curious to figure out what happens there. But other than that, not really much of a shock. You do got the running back position with James Conner, Trey Benson, Amari DeMarcado, and DJ Dallas. DJ Dallas does make it over Michael Carter because of being the punt returner slash kick returner. But Amari DeMarcado definitely seems to be over Michael Carter. Last year, we all made a pretty big huff and puff over said Michael Carter not making the roster. I think it's going to be the same thing that happens this year as well. I want to see a different type of running back, but the Cardinals are very, very, they like Amari DeMarcado. And he actually has had some plays here and there in training camp that's looked very, very well. So I'm not mad at it. 4 running backs, mainly with your 4th running back being your punt returner slash kick returner. So no shock there. Quarterback, Kyler, Jacoby, and then Clayton Tune. This is what the offensive side looks like, but there's not a shock with the offensive side of the ball, right? It's the defensive side of the ball here that we're really going to have to kind of focus on what they think is, like what they think the depth chart is. Now, please keep in mind, this is the unofficial, right? The unofficial first depth chart going into preseason for the Arizona Cardinals. Want to make it clear. So they got Darius Robinson as a defensive tackle. They got our nose tackle being Dalvin Tomlinson. You got defensive tackle Calais Campbell, outside linebacker Josh Sweat, inside linebacker Akeem Davis-Gaither, inside linebacker Mack Wilson Sr., outside linebacker Zaven Collins. So they got Zaven Collins on the opposite side of Josh Sweat. Now, please keep in mind, this is a very rotational type of defensive line. So although you see Zaven Collins there, doesn't mean you're not going to see Baron Browning. Doesn't mean that when B.J. Ojulari is ready to go, we're not going to see him. It just means that they think that he's the best right now, right? Between what we got going on. And of course, after Josh Sweat, you got Birch, Xavier Thomas, and then Benton Whitley, which I don't really know too much about. Cornerbacks, Max Melton, Will Johnson, Garrett Williams. So the media thinks exactly how I think too. Now, I called this after the draft. I feel like this is exactly the way that I called it. And even this too. Like the only kind of shock to me on the offensive side of the ball is probably Zay Jones over Greg Dortch. Because on my prediction on my 53, I ended up putting Weaver in over Dortch because I want to see Weaver, right? But that's really the only thing that is different from what my original prediction was. Even on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, even on the defensive side of the ball, nothing really has changed, right? I might have said Walter Nolan over Calais Campbell, but I did make some sort of disclaimer saying that it's probably going to be Calais, but I really want to see Walter Nolan on this graphic being up there. But of course, Walter Nolan right now is on the PUP list. They're going to have him as a third guy because once he's healthy, most likely we'll rock it over to probably the number 2 spot, kind of replacing Justin Jones or have some sort of rotation with Calais. So nothing really shocking here, right? Or at least to me, right? At least to me, I don't think anything really here is shocking. Akeem Davis-Gaither, I think we all kind of called that one, especially when you're paying a guy $5.5 million a year for 2 years. You're probably going to give him the nod when it comes down to the inside linebacking role. Now, Mack Wilson Sr., we heard Jonathan Gannon say that he probably will play the Mike linebacker and the Will linebacker. We're rotating everybody, apparently. We're rotating everybody. So Mack Wilson Sr., Akeem Davis-Gaither as your inside guys, your outside guys, obviously Josh Sweat. And then Zaven Collins. I need to see B.J. Ojulari get healthy, man. I need to see that guy get healthy. If he doesn't give us anything this year, this might be his last year for him. I'm gonna be real. But the cornerbacks, Garrett, Will Johnson, and Max Melton, love to see it. And then of course you got your veteran safeties back there, which are dynamite in Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson. So big role, man. Big role here for Darius Robinson going into his year 2. Right behind him, Dante Stills. I told you, Dante Stills has looked really good. Dante Stills has looked really, really good this training camp. Very good. Unfortunately, he's falling victim to the amount of depth that we have on this roster. But he's worked on a lot of craft. He's been very, very disruptive. I guess the best way to describe it, very violent in this year's training camp. The reason why you're not seeing him as your first guy is probably because I don't want to say a 4th rounder, but they got so much veteran presence in the NFL that can do it on a consistent basis. It almost feels like Dante Stills is falling victim to the depth that we have, right? But Darius Robinson, everybody's excited to see what he's going to do. Dalvin Tomlinson, a big new acquisition, right? Beefy guy in the middle. And then Calais Campbell, another big 6'8" guy that's going to be able to knock balls down whenever people are trying to toss it over our heads. So, yeah, this is the first unofficial depth chart. Let's look at the corners, shall we? Let's look at the corners. We talked about this a little earlier this morning. Did we not? Did we not, ladies and gentlemen? Check this out. The media agrees with me. Look at the corners. We all talked about potentially Elijah Jones not making the cut, right? They agree with me. They agree with me. Check this out. Max Melton, number 2, Denzel Burke. Will Johnson, number 2, Keitrell Clark. Garrett Williams, number 2, Jalen Jones. Your number 3 guys are going to be Stephen Gilmore, which is the brother of Stephon Gilmore, Elijah Jones, and Ikao Boyode. Like, I don't know if the Cardinals are going to carry more than 6 cornerbacks. Like, that's going to be very fascinating to see if they do carry more than 6. I love this. I really do. I like these 6 that stack out. Now, like I said, Keitrell Clark and Elijah Jones could potentially switch, but Keitrell Clark does give you special teams. He gives you special team looks, right? Those plays on special teams. That is going to be what's favoring him over Elijah Jones right now. And like I said, I've seen more flashes of Keitrell Clark than I have in Elijah Jones in training camp this year. I really have. So they agree with what I said this morning. Max, Denzel Burke, Will Johnson, Keitrell Clark, Garrett Williams, Jalen Jones. Insane. Insane. Bilal Nichols down here. Yep. Exactly what I said this morning as well. He's probably going to fall victim. The only one that I didn't get right is the LJ Collier at number 2. LJ Collier, number 2 at the nose tackle position, right behind Delvin Tomlinson. I kind of would rather see Elijah Simmons. I ain't going to lie to you, just because I really want to see what Elijah Simmons could do. But I do like LJ Collier. So I'm not going to really scuffle too much about it. Justin Jones, Walter Nolan. Keep in mind, Walter Nolan is on the PUP list right now. Once he gets activated, that's a spot they're going to have to obviously fill. So interesting. Mac Wilson, his backup is Cody Simon. Keem Davis-Gaither, his backup is going to be OP. J.J. Russell at the 3rd. Micah Walker at the 3rd. V. Jones, not really much. Kind of a shock there. This is interesting. It's very, very interesting. Chad Riley, your kicker. Your punter, Blake Gillikin. Long snapper, Aaron Brewer. And then, of course, the kick returner and punt returner most likely going to be mixed up with Greg Dortch and DJ Dallas. So, yeah, here it is, the first unofficial depth chart. Now, it's not the 53-man roster or a prediction of the 53-man roster, but it does give you some sort of little bit of insight of what the media thinks that it could potentially be, right? Because this is how they broke it down. The first preseason game of the year arrives Saturday, so Monday, of course, it means there is a depth chart of the year, first depth chart of the year. You know, the one filled up with 90 or so names. It is stretching all the way to the 5th or 6th strings. So they do their best, right? They do the best, but for the most part, they do agree with a lot of the stuff I said this morning. Kind of a breath of fresh air. Kind of a breath of fresh air to kind of hear that I'm not crazy, right? Kind of good to hear that. Overall, what are your guys' thoughts? Freddie, what's up, man? Mike, we signed a wide receiver. His name is Nate McCollum. Yes, we talked about that a little earlier this morning. I don't know if it's really going to do anything for the Cardinals, if I'm going to be real. I'm not sure if that's really a move that's going to, move the needle. But he's most likely more of a camp body than he is anything else, right? I don't even see him on this first official depth chart. Like, that's how I don't think it's going to be really relevant. But yes, you're right. They did sign somebody named Nate McCollum. Absolutely, the Cardinals did. Yep. P-Gut. What's up, P-Gut? Let's go. Will Hernandez is a beast. Plus, it's cool we share the same last name. Love to see it. Evening all. Even as a Seahawks guy, you all have a talented roster. Appreciate you, Eric. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, we do have a really talented roster. Like, this is the first time in a very, very, very long time it feels like the Arizona Cardinals truly do have themselves a really good roster. OO's corner on the chat says what I expected. I agree. It's just good to kind of get reaffirmed that you're not crazy, right? Absolutely. This depth chart is nothing to kind of squabble about. I think it's like right on the head. I think it's right on the head. What's up, guys? Nope, not late. You're good. Lorenzo, Will would be the best backup as he's healing. Insurance for Isaiah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And for the people out there that wanted Will Hernandez, this would be a really good pickup for the Cardinals. Like, no joke. This would be a really good pickup for the Arizona Cardinals. They should bring him in. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we see something, right? Maybe tomorrow we see something. Mike should grow a stash like Will. I don't think I could pull that off. I already look like Mario with the regular mustache. I don't know if I want to look like, Mario again with the curlies, right? I'm not sure if I could pull that off. Takes a lot of skill to do something like that. But yeah. Jake, I'm ready to get here we go, right? Tis the season. Tis the season. Emotional roller coaster. Here we go. But first things first, we got to get through preseason, which there's still a lot of things to learn in preseason. So don't get it twisted. Just because it's 3 games that are not going to be very much, I guess, relevant for 2025, but they're still really good games. They're going to be fascinating games. One of them is going to be obviously with the Chiefs is going to be the one we're opening up with. After the Chiefs, we got the Broncos, and the Broncos and the Cardinals are going to have a joint practice. If you did not know that, yes, the Cardinals and the Chiefs are going to have joint practice. So you might be seeing some footage out there with the joint practice and see how that works out. But I love joint practice. I think they're very beneficial. Cardinals starting off with the Chiefs this Saturday. Next Saturday is going to be with the Broncos at 6:30 p.m. AZ time. And then we're going to finish off our preseason against the Raiders. But we got a lot to dive into. And especially after these games, we're going to take a look at whose stock went up, whose stock went down. So we're going to be breaking these things down a lot when it comes down to this preseason. So yeah, don't get it twisted, man. But we're going to go crazy here in August. Obviously, the season starts in September. That's when it really matters, but doesn't mean we're not going to kind of do deep dives and, kind of potentially see who's going to be an Arizona Cardinal heading into 2025. So let's keep it another show. Coach Jed in the chat says 2 shows in one day. Let's go. Absolutely. Preseason football is here. Let's effing go. Absolutely. Hi, Mike. How was your morning talk? It was good. It was fun. A lot of people showed up for the morning show, so I appreciate y'all. A couple more chats here. Mike, yes, I am ready for preseason. I'm just ready for football in general, man. I'm just ready for football in general, brother. Ben, what's up, Ben? Appreciate you, man. Yeah, if you don't know, check out my guy Ben Garcia's show. Every morning, it feels like there's some sort of upload going on with my guy over there. Covers everything, man. He does what I'm too lazy to do. He covers a lot of Suns content, a lot of Arizona Cardinals content, and I think some sprinkled in Diamondbacks. But we all know the Diamondbacks right now are making our heads go into a wall because of just what happened in this trade deadline. So it is what it is. What's up, Ben? Appreciate you for stopping by. Let's read a couple more comments here while before we close up shop. We're just having a small abbreviated show. Today, we ended up talking about, obviously, Will Hernandez being a potential player to come back for the Arizona Cardinals. They did meet with them per the transaction report today. The Arizona Cardinals also met with 2 other players, one offensive lineman, Max Pritchard, as well as an edge rusher as well, former Seattle Seahawk. Can't say his name, but I will be flashing it here so you guys are fully aware that the Cardinals also met with another guy, edge rusher. But it's one of those things. If we're signing edge rushers, and I get it, they're probably just going to be depth guys, right? I get it, or camp bodies. But man, just if we're looking into that, might as well go for Trey Hendrickson, right? Might as well go for Trey Hendrickson. But this is the other guy that we ended up meeting with today, Kenneth Odiamwangu. I butchered that. He's an edge rusher, former Seattle Seahawk. I kind of did a little bit of a look into him. I don't think it's going to be very much to move the needle, but definitely something that we're probably going to be playing in preseason as a camp body, right? So 3 guys we ended up meeting with. Obviously, the big name out there is going to be Will Hernandez, former Arizona Cardinals offensive guard. But here we are, another first unofficial depth chart being released by the Arizona Cardinals. And for the most part, nothing really shocks me. Nothing really shocks me. Other than probably Zay Jones over Dortch, which is not a shocker, but it's kind of cool to potentially see a over 6 foot guy in the slot. I'm for it, man. I'm for it. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. You've already paid. Yeah, dude, the D-backs are, yeah, yikes. Yikes. Lorenzo in the chat says, after the second preseason game, hopefully we can see what the other wide receivers look like. Then I look at the depth chart. Yeah, I agree. 100%. Here's the thing. I don't think the wide receiving core is going to be one of those things where we're probably going to be throwing away anybody of value. I want to give a shout out to my guy. I believe it's Austin, if I'm not mistaken. Austin from my earlier stream. He really likes Isaiah Bond. Isaiah Bond should have been a third round pick this last year, but of course, with all the off the field issues that ended up happening, I think there was something that ended up coming out that his was he dismissed or, but it seems like it was settled, if I'm not mistaken. I'm intrigued with Isaiah Bond. Will the Cardinals bring him in? Probably not, right? Probably not. Let me see here. Because the last thing I saw something here not too long ago. Where was it? We knew he turned himself in. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So arrested, released on the same day after posting bond. His defamation lawsuit against the accuser was dismissed on July 2025. He also declared for the 2025 NFL draft in January. So it seems like it was dismissed, at least per Google, right? Allegedly. But yeah, is this a Monty guy, right? Hate saying this over and over again, but this is a Monty guy. Maybe not a Monty guy, but yeah, it would be kind of cool to kind of look his way if the Cardinals were looking into actually bringing in some really good talent. But they're probably going to be rolling with the guys that we have. Zay Jones being the 3, which, like I said, I'm cool with over a 6 foot guy in the slot. I'm cool with it. How can you call yourself AZ sports fan but don't cover all sports? I say this all the time, and I'm not sure I don't know if Ishmael, if you're the same guy that keeps asking, but AZ sports fan is what I am. It's what I am. It's not what I cover. It's what I am as a person, right? So as who I am, Michael, right? That's who I am as a person. That's what I am. I'm an AZ sports fan. Like that is what I am. I don't cover it because 162 games is a lot, right? 82 games is a lot. Cover Suns to cover the Diamondbacks. You look at your favorite media out there, right? Maybe not even for Phoenix, right? Maybe outside. You probably don't find one specific person that covers everything. You maybe don't, right? But if you do, they're probably getting paid very, very handsomely, right? They're probably getting paid very, very handsomely to obviously be in the know with all that different stuff. I am very, very versed and very, very, in tune with a lot of the stuff that's going on, but how much time that would take away from what's happening on the personal side, right? Which I know you guys don't care about, but it's very important to me with the work life balance, right? It's very, very, very important to me. So, AZ Sports Fan, the reason why it's called this is because at one point I thought I was going to be able to do it. To be real, I thought I was going to be able to do it, but nah, man, it's tough. It's tough, especially giving it the coverage that it deserves, right? I don't want to cover it and half ASS it. I don't want to cover it and then half ASS it. I want to give it the coverage that it deserves. So hopefully that makes sense. One more month for real football back? Absolutely. Jake, 7 months of membership. Man, we got a lot of people celebrating their monthly memberships here. We got my guy Chill Peasy earlier. I think he believes a 10 piece. Nice. How are you feeling about the Panthers matchup? I swear to God, we better beat those guys. We better beat the freaking Panthers. That's all I got to say, man. We got to beat the Panthers. We got to. It's an opportunity to start 2-0. It's an opportunity to start 2-0, and you got to take advantage of it. You got to. The Saints are projected to be a not good team, but it's an away game, so you never know. But that Panthers game, which should be here in State Farm, you got to take advantage and win those 2 games. Right after that, you got a division game, right? So you got to start off 2-0. You have to. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I don't agree with the statement because I do love baseball. Baseball is actually my second favorite sport, and then we got basketball. I love basketball too, but baseball is my second favorite. All right, let's close up shop. Ladies and gentlemen, just wanted to go ahead and keep you guys up to date of what is going on in the world of the Arizona Cardinals. Yes, this is second stream of the day. But the other stream earlier this morning, we really kind of gave you my surprise picks that could potentially get cut in the 53-man roster. Today, we talked about the unofficial depth chart. Nothing really shocking, nothing really surprising. And then on top of that, Will Hernandez is now met with the Arizona Cardinals as a potential reunite with us. I would love to bring him as depth. I think it's a really good piece. Seems like he's fully healthy and ready to go. So I am absolutely game for it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's close up shop right here. Let's end it off with my guy, Jake. I go to college in Charlotte. I want to smoke with all of these. Love it. Love to see it, man. Love to see it. All right, Jake, appreciate you. Appreciate everybody in the chat below. Thank you all for tuning in as always. We're going to be closing up shop right here. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, see you tomorrow. Next up, training camp. Last 2 days coming our way, and then it's full throttle. Here we go, regular season. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day, and as always, go Cardinals.